Yo guys, this is Reinhardt, this is your favorite Russian talking, and this is gonna be Vlog about Worlds of Draenor expansion. Well, first of all, before we get into any conversation or anything else like that, I want to talk about a little shuffle that I drew out. On my Facebook and on my stream, I actually linked the voting poll for people, are they gonna be purchasing new expansion or not? Guess what? The people who said yes was 31%, the people who said maybe were 8%. Even if we combine them together, it's 39% of the people, and it got 58 votes, which is not a huge sample, but it's a decent sample in my opinion. 39% of the people said, nah, we're gonna buy it, but the other one said, nah, you gotta present me some kind of outstanding shit possible for me to buy Worlds of Draenor, and that's kind of what I feel like that. Worlds of Draenor, in my opinion, was the biggest failure possible. And from what I understand is that they talked about Worlds of Draenor being a two-part expansion. So if the second part not gonna bring anything new in terms of complexity of the gameplay, I'm probably not gonna be buying it as well. Personally, that's the way I look at it, and I'm gonna talk about it from my perspective in just a few moments. So 4 months ago, in August, about a year ago, 4 months ago, before Worlds of Draenor actually launched, I said the game is gonna fail because there's no complexity in the gameplay itself from the PvP perspective. And I looked at it in the PvP perspective. I said if there's no complexity, if the classes are very flat, there's little what they can do to counter other classes. And because of that, the game is gonna be way too comp dependent. The tier 1 comp is gonna shoot on all over the different tiers of comps, and that happened. So I kind of called it out. I made a post about it. People had a googly eyes. Like a lot of big YouTubers had a googly eyes on how Worlds of Draenor is freaking awesome, amazing, and fun. And I was like the minority of the YouTubers. Like it was like very few YouTubers, and usually smaller, said, "Nah, Worlds of Draenor looks crappy," and I was right. Nah. But anyway, so from my perspective, first of all, what I'm gonna say is, if Worlds of Draenor costs again $50–60 and they're not gonna do a major changes to the class redesign, it's not worth purchasing. And I'm talking from my own perspective and opinion. If Worlds of Draenor is not gonna bring any class complexity, in my opinion, I'm not gonna be purchasing it. Enough is enough. Okay, so that's just the beginning of it. Personally, I think Worlds of Draenor was a huge misfire. Really good marketing, really good cinematics, decent leveling experience, too easy, again, way too easy. None of the fights were epic. I didn't feel like I was deserving a garrison, or I feel like I did something important. All I did is just AoE the shit out of weak ass orcs, and that's about it. So that's kind of what I feel like. And in all honesty, like, Worlds of Draenor never got my attention. If Worlds of Draenor didn't have a World of Warcraft and Blizzard attached to its name, as a brand new MMO, it would freaking fail miserably. Just because of the shitty and lazy ass design, okay? Like, for some reason people thought it was fun to have a garrison with a bunch of instances where you see your followers just fight there and do nothing, don't accompany you. Even when the Star Wars The Old Republic came out and they had the follower system, you could summon those followers, and you can actually have those followers participate in open world PvP. You could gear them customly. You can actually have them do crafting professions for you. And there was a lot more complexity than with a much smaller budget than World of Warcraft. So Worlds of Draenor was a cash cow, okay? And quite honestly, I don't feel like being a cow anymore. I don't like being milked. If you guys like to be milked, by all means. But that is my perspective, okay? Worlds of Draenor did absolutely nothing outstanding, and that's why it's the biggest failure from PvP and PvE perspective. A lot of people just don't like the game. And rightfully so, because the expansion itself is terrible. So if there's a Worlds of Draenor Part 2 and not many changes gonna happen, it's pretty much could be just bringing another patch. And if they bring in another patch, I don't want to play. Design of the classes is atrocious. The homogenization is atrocious. The PP is atrocious. Even Sidu, one of the top players there, probably arguably one of the best resto shamans in the world, says, man, fuck pruning. Like, this is literally what he said. If people are too dumb to play correctly, well, they should be penalized for it, not rewarded. And that's the thing. The Worlds of Draenor is missing those big ass plays, what the top players can do and what the medium players cannot do. Couple that with the scripting, botting, some crappy add-ons that actually shouldn't be in the game, like Gladiator Losa, that gives you like a kind of a fake awareness. The game became early a competitive PvE joke. Okay, so, and that's just the thing. And I give it a second, guys. I like PvP, and I like esports. I put a good amount of money into esports scene completely. I'm the only one who did actually RBG tournaments and did it cross-continental. So when it says I have a passion for PvP, I really have a passion for PvP, but I don't have a passion for the fail-ass expansions. And that's what the Worlds of Draenor is. So I want to know your opinion. First of all, will you be purchasing Worlds of Draenor or not? Personally, like I said, it's a maybe and it's a big question mark for me. First time, a big question mark for me. Now, before we finish this vlog, I want to kind of leave on one note. I played from last Wrath of the Lich King, so I believe I picked up this game in 2008. I spent about $1,000 on the transfers, and at least I paid subscription for 5 years. So 5 years, $180 a year, so it's $900 plus expansion and everything else. I think I personally spent about $2,500 on a video game. On one video game, $2,500, and that's a lot. $2,500 on a video game. That is a lot. But let's not talk about me. Let's talk about people who started playing in Vanilla and Burning Crusade. Those people are the people who are responsible for the success of World of Warcraft. Those people made it to the game where it is. The game wasn't perfect, the game was actually worse back in the day. The PvP was a lot more imbalanced than what you think. In Vanilla, in BC they actually made it a lot more enjoyable from what I understand. But kind of a later in the patches, later in the expansion. But people who stuck with the game, people who played the game, people who enjoyed the complexity of the game, people who enjoyed the game, I think they got the biggest slap in the face from World of Warcraft designers. Not only those designers didn't come up with something outstanding to reward former veterans who kept subscribing, they did a huge ability pruning, they did a complexity reduction of the game. Why? Just so they could satisfy their new player base. Because they tried to make a video game, World of Warcraft, easy for the newcomers and the new players. Guess what? They pretty much fucked all their veterans and gave them a huge slap in the face. And like I said, Worlds of Draenor is nothing but a cash cow. If we take a panda land, a freaking panda land, they put a lot more effort into designing a panda land from the max level perspective, the PvP and everything else, than Worlds of Draenor. Even though Worlds of Draenor content looked beautiful, retexture, redesigning and all the other stuff was awesome. And here's a good thing, here's a funny thing, people care about the gameplay first, graphics second. And that's why people were like, meh, we've got this prettier graphics and prettier orcs and shit, but we don't care about the game because it's too dull and too boring. So, now the last thing, the last spin I want to do is, let's talk about the storyline. So, is it me, or is the storyline for World of Warcraft becomes completely ludicrous, and it's kind of like reminds me of a lot of a pot smoking hallucinogenic content. A mystical island full of panda warriors. Really? But no, let's take it a step forward. There's a magical dragon that transports you into alternate universe back in time, and the question is then, can the why can't the demons do the same thing? Unite the alternate universes, unite all the demons, and beat the shit out of Azeroth. So that's kind of my partake, to be honest. But the storyline is nothing to be excited about. While they have this great music and the great cinematics and this awesome bolstering, and it's actually fun to watch those cinematics. If we just think from a raw storyline perspective, it's poopy. What I wish they would make is, I wish they would make an expansion where it's legitimately Horde versus Alliance. Like legitimate expansion focus nothing but the war and the resource squandering between the two great sides. The strategic movement of it, and make it more interactable living world where you legitimately Alliance can occupy the Undercity for a couple months, or Horde could occupy Ironforge or Stormwind and like bring it down. Like that's what I would like to see. Essentially, I'd like to see some kind of awesome fighting and then destructions of the cities and everything else, and then kind of they take it into the perspective data and kind of changing a bit of the patches and expansions to customize that. Check out which, like, if there's more alliances, if more than 50% alliance servers, let's say, destroyed Undercity, maybe Undercity next patch will come up with some cracked and some really huge, like a war-worn city. And then if they kept dominating it, maybe in a second or third patch, it will be like destroyed, and then the Horde will need to rebuild it, and then if the Horde servers participate in rebuilding it, they will rebuild it successfully. Like, there's so much stuff you can actually make, instead of, hey guys, we went back in time. And last but not least, this is absolute nightmare. Who chased Garrosh here through mystical raiding, tried to kick his ass, only to see Thrall getting the kill. Ultimate kill still, my friends.